All right, I'll go through some pointers on the pull-up. So basically, the key muscle that we're using on a pull-up is going to be the lats. So that anything that can bring our arm from an overhead position to close to our body, preferably something that isn't too wide and close to your body. So I think when I'm looking at pull-ups, the main thing I want to do is make sure that I'm not just trying to get my head to the bar, where you see a lot of people just sort of pull their head up and then arch over just to get their head to the bar, where you lose your chest position. You always want to keep your chest up, keep your shoulders down, make sure that you're pulling by thinking elbow to your hip, not elbow back behind you. When I'm doing a pull-up, the main thing I want to focus on is removing that swing. You'll see when people come down, the hard part on a pull-up is going to be the skill element. Obviously, you'll get stronger over time, just practicing pull-ups, more reps, more frequency, and just getting better on the strength side. But the skill side from that repetition is also important because it's hard to control a swing on a pull-up, hence why you probably start someone who's learning pull-ups on either an assisted pull-up or a pull-down. Anything that can just build the muscle in that pulling strength fashion, and then move to a pull-up where you can actually practice the skill of it. Super helpful if you're going to do muscle building, not strength-based stuff. Muscle building programs, you can, when you can't complete a full rep, you can add in half reps towards the end. So something like a pull-up is really, really good for that. Instead of trying to reduce the quality of your form to get another rep by swinging, kipping, or whatever to get up, you keep the same form and you just do the bottom half until you can't do any more reps, and that means your lats are completely toast. On this row, I'm focusing mostly on something what's called scapular retraction, which is just a fancy word for saying me trying to pull my shoulders back. So that's majority of what the muscles in the upper portion of your back do, is pull your arms backwards, pull your shoulders backwards. So I'm going to take an overhand grip on this one. I like having a chest supported machine because that takes away some of the stability needs that I'd have to have. So it keeps me stuck in place, and all I need to do is focus on a big pull. Now the keys for this, you can do it one of two ways. One way is where you would actually round over to get some what's called spinal flexion, and then come back with a row into what's called spinal extension. This is a great movement for overall back training. The other way is just what I'm going to do is to keep a very neutral position in my upper back, so that I'm basically just training the upper back musculature through its full range. I want to focus mostly on taking a deep breath in as I go forward. So I'm essentially pulling the line of the origin of the muscle as far away from the insertion. So if I breathe in heavy here, I'm pushing myself away from this bench, whereas if I breathe out, I pull myself closer. I want to pull myself as far away from the bench to expand and stretch the back musculature as much as possible. If I round my chest, it doesn't quite do that job. So again, for my focus on muscle building for the back and specific muscles, I'm going to keep a tall chest, focus on getting my arms as far forward as possible without dumping my chest. right, so second thing, whenever you're thinking about a row, you gotta double check the machine aligns with your arm path. Fortunately, this is a very good one. I've set the seat height to where I'm aiming to pull my arms back and slightly downwards. I don't want to be going upwards where my shoulders elevate. I want to obviously focus on pulling my shoulders back, but as I get to the back, I don't want them to then elevate to get more range. I want to keep pulling down, tall chest. So make sure when you're thinking of a row, where your arm is moving in space. All right, let's go heavy. 2, 3. Oh, got it, got it.
Lightweight!
So you can do any version of row that you like. It really doesn't matter. Dumbbell row, cable row, single hand, double hand, machine, whatever it is. I personally like this one because I get more out of a single arm row and a cable, where I can at least let it stretch across my body and I can move into it and get my arm to come right beside my side here. If I'm doing a double arm, at least I can be more time efficient, but I don't get the same level of stretch when coming forward and converging in. And when I come to the back, my elbows generally want to flare if I want to pull back. Whereas a cable, I can sort of shift myself to the side and I can pull in a straight line quite naturally. Again, these are small details, just a preference-based exercise that I picked. You can try it, but if I'm strapped for time, I'm just going to do a double handle row. Goal is, again, more lats, so I want to keep those elbows tight. I don't want to lean too far back. I don't want to let my shoulders come up. I want to have a tall chest, lean in, drag low, squeeze, and hold the squeeze on the way forward to where I can hopefully stretch as far possible as I can before I have to round my chest to get there. This is my second vertical pull. I've done 2 horizontal pulls, 1 vertical, and this is my second vertical. This is our wide grip pull up. At this point in the workout, very tired, so I'm not going to get much out of bodyweight pull ups. So I'll do the first set as many as I can on the bodyweight pull ups, and then I'll come to the trusty assisted pull up. So with this, I'm just going to obviously have assisted weight. I can do more reps. I can keep a good focus on the overall tempo and quality. Again, you can utilize the lat pull down instead, totally fine. I like the assisted pull up. I feel like I get a good connection from it. I don't have to move my body as much as a lat pull down. and I can adjust the weight pretty easily. Key things to remember in an exercise when you're picking it: how much range of motion do I get? Can I keep a good tempo? Does it require me much skill to develop the best out of the exercise, the best quality in the technique? Does it allow me to load well, as in, can I reduce weight by small increments or increase by small increments very easily? And is it something I enjoy? So that kind of ticks all the boxes for me on this one. All right, we'll do a bicep. I think I'll just go for a dumbbell bicep. So the dumbbell bicep curl that I like to use, was inspired and taught to me by in-house educators, James and Shark. So basically, how do you get the best bicep exercise? Again, going off of what the choices are, you got cable, you got dumbbell, barbell, machine, whatever. I'm going to use the dumbbell and just position my arms in a place where I'm getting maximal tension throughout the entire range of motion, where it's not just hard at the bottom, easy at the top, or easy at the bottom and hard at the top. So I'll show you how to do that with this exercise. Justin, just go in front, it's all good. All right. So you can see from that exercise, you can, if you want, you can keep your elbows by your side. The way that James and Shark told me how to do this one was to bring my elbows in front, so there's immediately tension from the bottom. Here, there's tension here. It's just a dead weight. When you curl to the top, you never want to move your upper arm to where your wrist is over your elbow, because essentially you're resting here. This is a resting spot. Whereas if your elbow is here, the weight is still on top of you here, which means you're not resting at the top and you're not resting at the bottom. So if you want a good exercise that can train biceps, very, very difficult. Arms slightly in front. Push your shoulders into the back of the bench and keep your chest tall. Use your feet to press yourself back into the bench. Curl as high as you can. Hold. Slowly come down to the bottom point. Finish off with half reps. You'll probably have to go down in weight with each set, as it is a very difficult exercise, but definitely worth doing. All right, so elbows in front, tall chest. Curl as high as you can, squeeze. Slowly down. Hold the bottom. You want to pick these up? I'm not faking that. That's actually as hard as it looks. All right, done. All right, I'll do this if I'm not doing like a heavy deadlift or Romanian deadlift or something hip hinge wise. This is my best on favorite movement, as it doesn't load your back and spine as much. It's very good for multiple things. I think glutes, hamstrings, lower back is an obvious thing. Very, very helpful exercise, keeps you safe and stuck in position. You can control the form. If you want to add weight, again, it's very easy to load, whether you want a dumbbell, a plate, a band, a barbell, totally your choice. If you have something that can either change the angle of it to be more focused on hamstrings, you would angle it up. If it's more focused on glutes, so that top position where you would hold, you could have something that angles you down. This is just your basic sort of standard back extension, so I'm getting everything out of it. Main cues for this one. When I'm going on it, foot pressure is important, so make sure your heels are actually glued back into the pads. Push your toes into it. You don't want to have feet flailing around or floppy. Push your toes into it. Make sure your heels are glued back into the pads. Second of all, you want to be squeezing your glutes into the pad as if you're holding your plank like this. I don't want to be arched this whole way and moving a lot through my spine. I want to hold a plank, squeeze my glutes in, keep my chin neutral, and try to just move through the hips. I don't want to bend through the spine, I just want to move through the hips. So I'm going to try and look at one point at the ground, slowly move through the hips, squeeze my hips into the pad to come up, and hold the top without extending my chest. All right, so that's how I generally set up my back exercise days. I want to have 2 vertical pulls, 2 horizontal pulls. I can prioritize one. Today I wanted to prioritize my pull-ups. I'm currently doing 40 added kilos for about 4 reps. I want to get that to about 60 kilos for anywhere between 3 to 5 reps. So I'm prioritizing that exercise first so I can get the best out of that one. Predominantly, the majority of my lifts are going to be something that I can maximize each one and not have to do too many exercises. So the second exercise was the chest supported row, which is focusing more on my upper back, retraction based. It's got a chest support so I can go heavy. I can basically go full effort on those ones and not really need to do too much more for that specific area. The second horizontal row was more of a lat row. So when my elbows weren't flared, they were more to the side and tucked. Really good for getting a lot more lats. And again, lats overhead, lats in front is going to do the job. So I included lower back as well because obviously I want to get some sort of hinge movement for spinal erectors, a little bit of glutes and hamstrings on this day too, even though I'll do a leg day, which will probably involve a deadlift of some sort as well. I do like to include a little bit of biceps as this is a pull day. So I picked one exercise for bicep, which is going to be my best bang for buck. Again, it was the dumbbell bicep curl, which is slightly angled in front so I can maximize the tension in all degrees of that curl. But I'm perfectly happy to switch that one up as I'm very set on my big main exercises staying the same. So like the pull-ups, the rows, they stay the same every single week so I can progress the numbers. The isolation exercises I can generally change as that's not the most important thing to me. I can change the bicep curl from a dumbbell to cable to a preacher curl or something just to again change around the exercises or rotate through different ones each week, and I'll come back around to that rotation. So part of this is progress based. I track the numbers, I track everything I do. And then the other part has to be a bit more of an enjoyment aspect to it, where maybe just it's busy in the gym and I can't get access to a cable. And so I switch it to a dumbbell, or I got sick of dumbbells for 3 weeks in a row. So I jump onto a preacher bench, which is really nice and it's novel. So that's kind of how I like to set things up. But the overall goal is to make sure I get maximum progression throughout each week. That might be small progression, whether it's half a kilo, half a rep. It might just be the same amount of reps and weight, but slightly better form. But I need to make sure I get a little bit of something better every single time. So if you're looking to set up your own back exercises, whether it's in a day or across the week, make sure you get at least 2 variations of vertical pull, 2 variations of horizontal pull, a hip hinge of some sort, and you can include a bicep, a rear delt, a shrug, just to round it all off.